Good morning, Acadiana. It's January 12th, and you're listening to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate. The team of journalists print the stories important to our community and state, and we're happy to read you some of those stories. You can hear Local News Live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AOC 1, the AOC Community Media channel on YouTube, and on Cypress Street Radio at aocinc.org/CS radio. You can find the print versions of these stories and more at theadvocate.com. Of course, we couldn't bring you this community service without the generosity of our volunteer news readers. Today, we're joined by Bruce Cohen. Welcome to Local News Live. Good morning, Bruce. Thank you again for joining us.
Well, you're entirely welcome, Mandy. Good morning to you, and good morning, Acadiana. And you can, if you wish, Mandy, go ahead and listen, and I will start the news.
All right. Thank you, sir. Take it away.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Well, good morning, Acadiana. It is Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. In the Acadiana news, Lafayette Mardi Gras parades have been canceled by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. The Greater Southwest Louisiana Mardi Gras Association announced Monday that it would cancel all of its parades in Lafayette this year due to the pandemic, according to the Current. This isn't the first time the association, which has organized Mardi Gras events for 86 years, has canceled parades. Mardi Gras parades were also canceled from 42 through 47 during World War II and in 1951 during the Korean War. The organization said in a news release published by The Current. As a fourth generation of volunteers who serve to carry out the mission of Greater Southwest, we take pride in carrying out our responsibilities to our member crews, the police and fire departments, public works, and all of Lafayette and surrounding communities. We love a party, and at Mardi Gras, the bigger the better. This year, the COVID-19 virus has presented us with a unique and nearly unprecedented challenge, the news release said. After months of deliberation with input from community leaders, the association determined that safe, family-friendly, and quality parades cannot be held this year. However, while parades will not roll, rest assured that Greater Southwest is working with member crews to provide safe alternatives to our traditional Mardi Gras festivities, the association wrote. Stay tuned for details to follow. The association organizes most of the Mardi Gras parades that roll through Lafayette, including the following: Children's Parade, Crew of Bonaparte Parade, Monday Night Parade honoring Queen Evangeline, King and Gabriel's Parade, Lafayette Mardi Gras Festival Parade, and the Independent Parade. The association's announcement is the latest in a string of COVID-19 cancellations of other Mardi Gras celebrations in Acadiana and Louisiana. Rio announced last week that it would cancel its annual Mardi Gras Parade, which was set to roll in Lafayette on February 6th. That announcement came with the promise of a January 18th Mardi Gras surprise. The 60th annual Church Point Mardi Gras Soiree and Parade were also canceled last week, according to a statement from the Saddle Tramp Riders Club that organizes the events. Some of the biggest Mardi Gras celebrations in the state, including those in New Orleans, were banned long ago by city leaders as coronavirus cases spiked for the third time in Louisiana. Lafayette's elected leaders have not banned or issued guidance on Mardi Gras parades, balls, or other events, instead leaving it up to the individual organizations to make that decision. We have no intention of canceling Mardi Gras, Jamie Angel, spokesperson for Lafayette Parish Mayor President Josh Guillory, said recently. Lafayette Consolidated Government, or LCG, doesn't put on Mardi Gras, the various associations do. So we're giving them the opportunity to make that decision for their various organizations. If they decide to move forward, they'll have to do so with whatever state restrictions are in place. Under current guidelines, outdoor events of more than 150 people are prohibited unless strict 6-foot distancing is maintained. Governor John Bel Edwards' current order also mandates that all fairs, festivals, carnivals, and amusement rides be closed. The governor's current order expires on Wednesday. It does not directly address parades, Ashley Rodriguez, Director of Public Services, State Fire Marshal's Office, said recently. Therefore, no guidelines exist to advise on how to safely host parades. A section of the order that limits gatherings to 150 people refers to a single outdoor space, Rodriguez said. The governor's proclamation has not given direct mention of parades, so we don't have any guidelines to follow. Other Acadiana Mardi Gras events that have been canceled include the Huntsville Parade, Cameron Grove Parade, Scott Parade, Creux de Chien Parade, Sunset Mardi Gras Parade, St. Martinville's Newcomers Club Parade, Franklin Mardi Gras Parade, the Crew of Episadas Parade, Carnival de Acadie, Rain Mardi Gras Parade and Celebration, and Lorryville Parade and festivities, and the New Iberia Parade, the Creux de Canaille, Lafayette's first and only walking parade, announced in October that it would host a modified parade format designed for safe participation for its 2021 parade. All the places we didn't go, the crew will host a drive-by parade where participants can visit sub-crews at designated locations to see decorated lawns, porches, and people. Most of Lafayette's Mardi Gras crews have canceled balls. Some have decided to have much smaller events, while others will forego any gathering this year. The annual Washington Mardi Gras, which happens in the nation's capital over a weekend during carnival season, has also been canceled by the Mystic Crew of Louisianians. Parades, balls, and other Mardi Gras events typically bring thousands of visitors and their dollars to Acadiana. A 2010 study commissioned by the Lafayette Convention and Visitors Commission and the Greater Southwest Louisiana Mardi Gras Association found that local crews and family members spent nearly $10 million preparing for and celebrating Mardi Gras. Visitors brought more than $110 million to Lafayette Parish, with parade attendees spending almost $400 per person while visiting. Looking at COVID-19, the coronavirus and news, the latest growing access, Ochsner Lafayette expands vaccine invite list to more doses needed, by Ben Myers, staff writer. Ochsner Lafayette General is expanding the list of people it is inviting to receive COVID-19 vaccination following a busy first weekend administering shots to people who are not healthcare personnel. The hospital system, which is part of Ochsner's Health statewide network, announced last week it will invite 7,500 people older than 70 to be vaccinated, with invitees listed to patients who have visited Ochsner clinics in the past 3 months. The visitation cutoff has now been extended to patients who have visited within 1 year, covering another 7,500 people in the state-mandated age range, according to a spokesperson. There are about 8,000 vaccination appointments booked through January 31st. As Ochsner Lafayette and the Ochsner facilities across the state issue more invites, they are banking on the Louisiana Department of Health maintaining consistent supply to accommodate the new appointments. While state and healthcare officials are working closely together, weekly resupply remains unpredictable. We don't have a good line of sight into what we might get from the state, Dr. Robert Hart, Chief Medical Officer for Ochsner Health, said. The state does not have a good line of sight about what they're going to get from the feds. Ochsner administered more than 22,000 shots across the state on January 9th through 10th, including about 1,500 in Lafayette. The vast majority of the local shots were the first of two, spaced weeks apart, that are needed to complete the vaccination cycle. Another 1,800 doses are needed locally to accommodate Lafayette's appointments through January 18th, and officials say they are working with the state to secure them. The state has so far received about 230,000 doses of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, according to federal data, and as of January 7th, the state said more than 80,000 have been administered. Updated figures are scheduled for release Tuesday. As of last week, Louisiana ranked 36 in distributing its allocation of vaccine, but Ochsner officials said Monday that they had smoothed out logistical challenges and are poised to ramp up further once supply is available. We would be prepared to expand whatever the phase is that would come next, said Warner Thomas, Chief Executive Officer of Ochsner Health. It really now is going to be dependent on can we get enough vaccine and be able to expand it to a broader group. All right, we're going to take our first public service announcement break of the morning. First one up is a Pieces of Hope, a virtual open mic. On Wednesday, January 27th at 7 p.m., the Festival Awards hosts the Pieces of Hope virtual open mic on Zoom for 16 years For 16 years, the festival has hosted the Grand Coteau-based event featuring writers, musicians, and storytellers. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, the creative community will gather online. Coming together is an act of hope, come to share or just to listen and enjoy. The 2-hour open mic presents 20 writers and musicians, each performing for 5 minutes. Performers are from Lafayette and all over the country. The Pieces of Hope, a virtual Zoom poetry festival, is hosted by yours truly. Make yourself a drink, grab some cheese and crackers, and sit back to enjoy some exquisite performances that will soothe, entertain, and enlighten. To join, go to the Facebook page for Pieces of Hope Virtual Open Mic. The link to the Zoom Cafe will be available the week of the event, or contact Martha Garner at fowmartha@gmail.com, or you can call 337-804-2482 for more information. This free community event is suitable for all ages and is sponsored by the Festival Words Cultural Arts Collective. Okay, continuing with Acadiana news. Hamper among 10 picked for accelerated program by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. Hamper, an app-based wash and fold laundry service launched last year, was accepted into the 2021 class of the Techstars Austin Accelerated Program. The program, which acts as a supercharger for global startups in Austin, Texas, is made up of some really extraordinary founders solving real-world problems and bringing tangible value to the customers and shareholders, the organization announced on Monday. Hamper founder and CEO Laura Hess said the program lasted for months and featured 5 rounds of screening and presentations from thousands of companies. Only 10 were chosen, and each will receive a $120,000 investment, along with access to mentors, investors, advisors, and a network of other business leaders. Techstar only accepts 1% of its applicants, said Hess. This is a huge honor, and I think is a real testament to the product we created, the members who have supported us, and the amazing team that we have built. Sessions begin Monday and will end with a March 24th demo day, with 10 companies making a virtual pitch about their concepts. Given Hampton's momentum, I'm not surprised to see it gain this opportunity, said Destin Ortega, Executive Director of the Lafayette Economic Development Authority's Opportunity Machine. Having been a part of providing Hamper a similar support at a local level, I am proud to see it take this next step. It's thrilling for our local business community. Hamper allows users to have their laundry picked up, washed, folded, and returned to them by local washers, a group of stay-at-home parents, retirees, or others who are interested in earning additional income. It has recently launched in cities in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, with plans to launch in Colorado and South Carolina by the end of February. Our next story involves St. Martin men accused of hunting violations by Claire Taylor, staff writer. 2 St. Martin Parish men were cited by the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries for alleged federal and state duck hunting violations. Jean-Paul F. LeBlanc, 23 of St. Martinville, and Seth A. Choiste, 32 of Parks, were cited for hunting migratory game birds over a baited area, as well as hunting ducks without a federal stamp, state duck license, and basic hunting license, according to a news release from the Wildlife and Fisheries. LeBlanc also was cited for placing bait to attract migratory game birds, while Choiste was cited for violating non-toxic shot requirements. Wildlife and fishery agents, after receiving a tip about illegal hunting activity in the Bayou Tortue area near St. Martinville, set up a surveillance and found the area was baited with red milo and corn. After hearing shots from the baited area January 9th, agents observed LeBlanc and Choiste leaving the area with shotguns, the news release states. Agents made contact with the men and found they did not possess basic hunting licenses, state duck licenses, or federal duck stamps, authorities said. LeBlanc admitted to placing the bait, and Choiste was in possession of a toxic shot, according to the news release. It's a federal violation to place bait to attract migratory game birds, to hunt migratory game birds over a baited area, to hunt migratory game birds without a federal duck stamp, and to violate toxic shock regulations. Penalties will be determined by federal court. Hunting without a basic hunting license and hunting migratory game birds without a state duck license each are punishable by a $50 fine and 15 days in jail. Next story, we're coming back. Battered community college determined to arise by Kent Stickney staff writer. Out of Lake Charles, SOWEAL, there we go. Just couldn't get it out. And I will continue to call it SOWELA. Technical Community College has weathered 2 hurricanes and 9 months of pandemic, suffered a precipitous drop in enrollment, and lost some faculty members. But Chancellor Nina Aspinwall foresees substantial recovery, if not prosperity, around the corner, or at least by late summer. In that regard, Aspinwall, the native Georgian who rebuilt SOWELA once before, she's rebuilding it yet again this year. Aspinwall arrived in southwestern Louisiana 8 years ago with a reputation for leading Georgia's stellar workforce training program. It was said to be the best in the country, and a determination to build then shabby SOWELA into something better. If you pass the campus, which rests along Chenault International Airport 9 months ago, you'd have seen SOWELA had done just that, with many new buildings among the 13 on the central campus. Enrollment had grown to more than 4,000 at one point, and the 2-year campus's reputation among local industries has soared. But first, COVID-19 in March, and then 2 hurricanes, Laura on August 27th, Delta on October 9th, tore off campus roofs, toppled walls, and closed the campus for weeks. The campus was a wreck. Aspinwall lamented after the first hurricane that what had taken 8 years to build had been toppled in 4 hours of storm. Or was it? What wasn't toppled was appreciation for what SOWELA has achieved over the course of 8 years and why it was important to the southwestern Louisiana community. There remains a lot to be done to recover the campus, but there appears to be state and local enthusiasm, public and private, to support that. Aspinwall, speaking in a Friday interview with SOWELA, said he's heard from the governor, who has visited SOWELA twice since the storms, and from other state officials, such as Commissioner of Higher Education Kim Hunter Reed, numerous times as they monitor plans and actions to rebuild the Lake Charles campus. Private industry has kicked in substantial aid. An intensive, aggressive 3-phase recovery plan that's in place promises to put students fully back on campus if the pandemic emergency relaxes for the fall of 2021 semester. Phase 1, launched December 2nd, will put 6 buildings back in operation by February 22nd. Phase 2 will go to bid next month and lead to recovery for 6 more buildings within 150 days. Phase 3 focuses on the arts and humanities building, a total loss, and promises to return to the new building online by August. It's been moved up to meet that deadline. Campuses in Oakdale and Jennings sustained minimal damages. Both are operating as normal. In all, Aspinwall said cost to replace the damage may approach $35 million, although bids on many projects haven't been received yet. Some early bids came in lower than expected. The state is insured, and FEMA aid is available. There should be money to do the job of recovery. The chancellor said the need to erect buildings speaks to the need for in-person classes. Most students are adept in accessing remote classes relied upon heavily during the fall, but many students don't like them. Students want to be on campus, the chancellor said, a desire that reflects the need for hands-on education and workforce preparation classes, as well as a desire for students for the social side of education. They want to be with their classmates, he said. Some won't return until face-to-face instruction returns. Many technical programs can only do so much remotely, he said. He said local industry, including some of the 24 industries located just west of the Interstate 10 bridge, have been helpful, either through contributions or by working with the college to set up internship programs. Chenier donated $100,000. Business and industry donated some $200,000 in gift cards for students and faculty members. South Louisiana Community College in Lafayette donated $5,000 to its sister institution. Plans for spring semester are for courses to start remotely January 19th and resume on campus February 1st. We have a fast track process technology class that starts next week, Aspinall said, a program through which applicants can earn a degree in 16 weeks and seek jobs that start at more than $50,000 a year. On campus Friday, students were registering for the spring semester even as workers were making repairs on the Sycamore Student Center. Most said they were eager to return. They'll see demolition on campus alongside other buildings being restored. It was different for everyone, said Megan Thibodeau, a freshman and graduate from Barb High School in Lake Charles, of her first semester in college. Everyone, my teachers, did their best, and now she's hoping for something better. The process technology students said instructors did what they could with limited access to labs and machinery. She's eager for more hands-on opportunities. Seth Romeo of Hackberry, who has attended Sowelo as a STEM student in high school, was returning there for the spring semester. He said he is going to do basic studies at Sowelo, then transfer to computer science studies at McNeese State. I'll start remotely, he said, as well as his classmates, but he's hoping for the fully functional Sowelo he attended while a high school student. Aspinwall said enrollment hovers around 2,500, but will recover substantially when the public school system is fully operational again. He said enrollment suffered a 600 student drop because the dual enrollment program enrolls high school students in college courses is hampered because of the public schools' challenges stemming from the storms. That's the rub. How many people will return, at least for the spring? He says some faculty members had to move elsewhere when their housing was destroyed. Some found jobs in other places. Some students too are challenged because their homes were battered, the job situation changed, and their family obligations were altered. When they return, Aspinwall said, Sowelo will be ready. Our students are supportive and they're positive, he said. Efforts continue to produce and bolster new programs, such as training programs for the hospitality industry in Lake Charles, as part of the plan to grow enrollment. Can Sowelo recover? Well, first we got to get rebuilt, he said. Then we get through the pandemic. State funding is not where it needs to be, he said, but as long as Southwestern Louisiana offers jobs, the college will be strong. The hope, he said, is to gradually build Sowelo to 5,000 students. The campus will at least be back to where it was in a year to 18 months, he predicted. We're optimistic. Faculty and staff are working hard. We're coming back, he said. Turning to the crime blotter now, which is put together by the Advocate staff reporters. A New Iberia woman killed in crash in St. Mary Parish. A New Iberia woman died Sunday after a crash in St. Mary Parish. State police said Jackie Marie Brown, 41, died in the crash in LA 182 near LA 670, which occurred about 8 p.m. Brown was driving a 2009 Hyundai Santa Fe SUV west of LA 182. At the same time, a 2007 Cadillac SRX SUV was traveling east on LA 182. For reasons still under investigation, Brown's SUV crossed the center line and struck the Cadillac head-on in the eastbound lane of travel. Brown was pronounced dead at the scene by the St. Mary Parish coroner's office. It's unclear if she was wearing a seatbelt. The driver of the Cadillac was not properly restrained and was transported to a hospital in serious condition. Toxicology samples were taken from both drivers and results are pending. Troop 1 has investigated 3 fatal crashes resulting in 4 deaths in 2021. A man arrested in a Lafayette shooting. The man wanted in connection with a fight that led to a shooting on Abear Road in Lafayette is in custody. According to the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office, Joseph DeVoltz is being held on 4 counts of attempted second-degree murder and 1 count of simple burglary in a connection with the January 5th incident. According to Lafayette Police Department, DeVoltz got into an argument with 2 people at a home on Abear Road. Investigators said DeVoltz went back to his home after the argument, got a rifle, and returned to the scene. That's when investigators said DeVoltz shot at a man and his 3 sons as they got out of a car. No one was injured in the shooting. The car sustained some damage. If you wish to contact a crime reporter from the Canadian Advocate for anything you see noteworthy to go into the crime blotter, you can email acadiananews@theadvocate.com or call 337-534-0526. And we're now at the halfway mark in our broadcast for this morning. So we'll turn to the day in history. Today is Tuesday, January 12th, the 12th day of 2021. There are potentially 353 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history on January 12, 2000, in a 5-4 decision, the U.S. Supreme Court in Illinois versus Wardlow gave police a broad authority to stop and question people who run at the sight of an officer. On this date in 1828, the United States and Mexico signed a Treaty of Limits, defining the boundary between the two countries to be the same as the one established by an 1819 treaty between the U.S. and Spain. In 1915, the U.S. House of Representatives rejected 204 to 174, a proposed constitutional amendment to give women nationwide the right to vote. In 1948, the U.S. Supreme Court in Scipio versus Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma unanimously ruled that state law schools could not discriminate against applicants on the basis of race. 1959, Barry Gorder Jr. founded Motown Records, originally Tamla Records, in Detroit. 1971, the groundbreaking situation comedy All in the Family premiered on CBS television, one of my favorites. In 1995, Qibla Shabazz, the daughter of Malcolm X, was arrested in Minneapolis on charges of trying to hire a hitman to kill Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. The charges were later dropped in a settlement with the government. In 2006, Mehmet Ali Agak, the Turkish gunman who shot Pope John Paul II in 1981, was released from an Istanbul prison after serving more than 25 years in Italy and Turkey for the plot against the pontiff and the slaying of a Turkish journalist. In 2010, Haiti was struck by a magnitude 7 earthquake. The Haitian government said 316,000 people were killed, while a report prepared for the U.S. Agency for International Development suggested the death toll may have been between 46,000 and 85,000. 10 years ago, President Barack Obama visited Tucson, Arizona, the scene of a shooting rampage that wounded Representative Gabrielle Giffords and killed 6 others. He urged Americans to refrain from partisan bickering and to embrace the idealistic vision of democracy held by 9-year-old Christina Taylor Greene, the youngest of the victims. 5 years ago, in the final State of the Union address, President Barack Obama urged Americans to rekindle their belief in the promise of change that first carried him to the White House, declaring that the country must not allow election year fear and division to put economic and security progress at risk. 1 year ago, President Donald Trump and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi sparred ahead of Trump's impeachment trial, with Pelosi saying senators would pay a price for blocking new witnesses and Trump labeling the House impeachment vote a totally partisan hoax. Today's birthday, the amazing Kreskin, is 86 years old today. Actor Anthony Andrews, 73. Movie director Wayne Wang, 72. Actor Kirstie Alley, 70. Political commentator Rush Limbaugh, 70. Country singer Ricky Van Shelton, 69. Radio TV personality Howard Stern, 67 years of age. Writer, producer, director John Lasseter, also the head of Pixar Animation, is 64. Broadcast journalist Christina Amanpour, 63. Actor Oliver Platt, 61. Basketball Hall of Famer Dominique Wilkins, 61. Entrepreneur Jeff Bezos is 57 years old today. Rock singer Rob Zombie, 56. Rock singer Zach De La Rocha, 51. Rapper Raycon from the Wu-Tang Clan is 51. And contemporary Christian singer Jeremy Camp is 43 years old today. Looking at the zodiac, if you're a Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th, it's okay to do things differently. Don't feel bound to tradition or to what someone wants you to do. A change will lift your spirits and encourage you to be more active. And that's my oldest son's birth sign. Aquarius, January 20th through February 19th, you will meet with opposition If you show signs of insecurity or confusion, stand tall and be clear about what you want, look for an opportunity, and follow through with a plan. Pisces, February 20th through March 20th, you'll get the opportunity to explore something you want to pursue. How you represent yourself will make a difference. Direct your energy, it will be most effective. Aries, March 21st through April 19th, you'll have to rely on your connections to help you get ahead. A competitive individual will try to make you look bad. Preparation, intelligence, and strategy will help you come out on top. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th, keep an open mind. Size up situations and make decisions based on facts. Personal improvements, growth, and unique friendships will develop if you use social media to your advantage. Be direct. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th, my younger son's birth sign. Gather information. Trusting someone to take care of your business will set you back. Question everything and everyone before you agree to make a change. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. A change someone suggests will be useful for you emotionally, but not financially. Think twice before you let someone push you into a bad direction. Leo's July 23rd through August 22nd, my mom's birth sign. You'll have plenty of ideas, but consider your motives before you leap into action. A change will lead to uncertainty if you haven't thought matters through sufficiently. Virgo, my birth sign, August 23rd through September 22nd. Jump at the chance to learn something new or to use your skills differently. The more you know and here to offer, the greater the reward. Look at the trends and be as versatile as possible. Libra, September 23rd through October 23rd. Don't let your desire for change lead you down a rabbit hole. Don't trade one negative situation for another. Baby steps will help you incorporate a promising strategy. Scorpio, October 24th through November 22nd. Don't let your intuition be your guide. Stay focused on knowledge and facts. Use your imagination to outmaneuver anyone who tries to get in your way. And finally, Sagittarius, my wife's birth sign, November 23rd through December 21st. Prepare to move forward with optimism, intelligence, and a disciplined attitude. Giving anyone the chance to speak on your behalf or take care of your responsibilities will result in disappointment. And the horoscope, as always, my fine listeners, is an entertainment feature not based on scientific fact. Okay, before we move into the state news, I would like to bring up a bit of entertainment news that I started last week. I found an article online by the Rolling Stone magazine called In Memoriam, the musicians we lost in 2020, which by account was 80, and I'm doing 5 per day. I wasn't able to get to it yesterday, so we'll continue with number 21 of 80. This is Jerry Jeff Walker. Jerry Jeff Walker was an outlaw country architect and Mr. Bojangles songwriter. He died at 78. Walker's 1973 live album, Viva Talingua, is a cornerstone of the Austin, Texas cosmic cowboy sound. Katie Osling, country singer-songwriter of the 80s group Ladies, dead at 78. Osling was the first female songwriter in CMA Awards history to win Song of the Year in the Country Music Awards. And actually, she passed away just before the end of the year. Moving on to Chet J.R. White. Chet J.R. White was a bassist and producer for indie rock outfit The Girls. He died at the age of 40. Musician also collaborated with Case McCombs and Tobias Jesso Jr. And then we move on to Tony Lewis. Tony Lewis was the basser and singer for the British pop rockers The Outfield. He died at the age of 62 last year. The band scored an indelible 80s hit with their 1986 single, Your Love. And finally, in today's obituaries of musicians who passed away in 2020, Johnny Bush. Johnny Bush, a Risky River songwriter and Texas country singer, died at the age of 85. He was a Lone Star State staple. Bush was a lifelong friend of Willie Nelson and gave him one of his signature songs. Okay, moving on to state news. Louisiana increases vaccination locations. More than 100 spots added for older people to get shots by Sam Carlin's staff writer. Louisiana added more than 100 pharmacy and other providers administering vaccines to elderly patients across the state Monday as officials raced to catch up with skyrocketing demand for patients over 70 years old and hospital systems ramp up the immunizations. After delivering shipments of 100 vaccine doses each to 107 pharmacies last week, the Louisiana Department of Health said Monday it would send more doses to those pharmacies and 102 additional providers this week. In all, 209 providers in all 64 parishes will get doses, the agency said. Most of them will be pharmacies. They include 87 chain pharmacies, 93 independent pharmacies, 20 federally qualified health centers, and 9 healthcare sites. Washington Health System, the state's largest, also said it was kicking vaccines into high gear. Over the weekend, the system administered more than 22,000 doses, CEO Warner Thomas told the Advocate and the Times-Picayune. In all, the system has given shots to nearly 28,000 patients who are 70 years or older and had administered 57,035 vaccine doses total. Pharmacies, which were tapped to help distribute the vaccine widely to people over 70 years of age, only received 10,500 doses in all last week. This week, doses will be available from several sources. Some will be directly shipped from Moderna. Some are coming from a 13,500 dose surplus at the state's distributor, and some clinics are making their extra doses available to the public. Still, the health department wouldn't say how many doses those facilities are receiving this week. Kevin Litton, a spokesperson for the agency, said most pharmacies will receive 100 doses of Moderna's vaccine, while some in parishes without many providers enrolled received an order of 200 doses. Providers, including 10 high-volume pharmacies, 2 federally qualified health centers, and 2 Tier 1 hospitals, placed requests for direct or large shipments of 975 doses of Pfizer's vaccine. The health department has told patients not to arrive at locations without an appointment expecting to be vaccinated, advising them to instead call or make an appointment on the website. The agency also said in a news release that participating providers must make vaccines available to anyone who is eligible. The failure to do so will inform future decisions about distribution. Thomas of Oshner said the health system has 20 clinics and 7 pharmacies doling out vaccinations to the elderly. Demand is soaring. The system has already scheduled 113,000 vaccine appointments over the next 8 weeks, Thomas said. Unlike many pharmacies, Oshner is not creating wait lists until more doses come in and is instead relying on more shipments of vaccines to come in over the next 2 months to meet demand. We are concerned about being able to have the right supply over the coming weeks, Thomas said. We're giving the state a lot more transparency into our go-forward appointments. Washington officials said they have been combating online misinformation surrounding the vaccine, something echoed by other hospital leaders around the state. Dr. Catherine Baumgarten, the hospital's medical director of infection control and prevention, says some patients told her they thought there were trackers in the vaccine, a false rumor that is spread on social media platforms like Facebook. The hospital has not set a deadline for workers to get the vaccine and is instead trying to promote its safety and efficiency. Dr. Robert Hart, chief medical officer at Oshner, said about 48% of hospital staff have gotten the shot so far and are more coming forward as they see their colleagues experience limited side effects. Oshner officials also said while staffing levels are a challenge in the vaccination effort, the system has the ability to ramp up its immunizations and more doses become available. If we get more vaccine and know that we had a really significant supply coming in, we can make some changes not only in our day-to-day, but our planning for the weekends to ramp up the vaccine administration, which would move us through the 70-plus population fairly quickly and move to the next classifications, Hart said. Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center started vaccinations for elderly patients at its North Baton Rouge clinic on Wednesday and has so far vaccinated nearly 600 people, said Ryan Cross, a spokesperson for the lake. We continue to schedule our patients based on available vaccine supply, Cross said. Our ambitious goal this week is 3,500. In the coming weeks, our intention is to be at a steady vaccination rate of 10,000 to 20,000 per week across our markets in Lafayette, Monroe, North Shore, Bogalusa, and Baton Rouge, continuing to expand availability as we work closely with the state and our many community partners. After seeing vaccinations lag at hospitals in the first weeks of the state efforts, Governor John Bell Edwards announced on New Year's Eve he was expanding the immunizations to the next phase beyond nursing homes and hospital workers. That gave people older than 70 and a list of other healthcare workers the opportunity to get vaccinated. The current Phase 1B priority group for the vaccine offers immunizations to people 70 and older, as well as end-stage renal disease facility personnel and patient, ambulatory and outpatient healthcare workers, home agency patients and workers, and schools of allied health students, residents, and staff. While many hospital workers have hesitated to get the vaccine immediately, demand from elderly patients immediately and overwhelmed pharmacies put thousands of names on wait lists last week. At the same time, hospitals began shifting their focus and their thousands of unused doses to elderly patients. Allie Neal, a spokesperson for the health department, said just because the 107 pharmacies that received doses last week are getting resupplied this week, it doesn't guarantee they will continue to get doses moving forward. DOTD chief skeptical for any gas tax hike in 2021 by Will Santel, staff writer. Louisiana's transportation chief Monday stopped just short of dismissing chances for a gas tax hike in 2021 that is being pushed by industry groups. Sean Wilson, Secretary for the State Department of Transportation and Development, or the DOTD, said looming issues sparked by the coronavirus pandemic and the need for top state leaders to agree on any gas tax increase made it problematic this year. First, I think my concern is really timing, Wilson said. Right now, I think it is all going to be pandemic and economic recovery because we absolutely need those things. The DOTD leader made his comments during a nearly 1 hour meeting with an editorial board of The Advocate and the Times-Picayune. Wilson's views are significant because in 2017, he was the leader of a bid to boost the gas tax by 17 cents per gallon, which died without a vote in either the full state House or Senate. Backers can ill afford any split in the ranks, especially because rounding up the needed two-thirds supports in the House and Senate is always a huge political challenge. Wilson said 2021 is eerily similar to 2017 in that 4 years ago, gas tax boosters tried to gain traction at the same time that a roughly $1 billion shortfall dominated attention in the legislature. A group led by former state representative Eric Ponte, Republican Baton Rouge, is behind legislation that would boost the gas tax by 10 cents per gallon initially, $300 million per year, and 22 cents eventually, $660 million annually. Backers said the push has drawn support from a wide range of groups that stayed out of the fray in previous years. Wilson has chased over some of the details and the early drafts of the bill, including regular state audits and how DOTD is using its money, as well as independent reviews of those audits to ensure that DOTD is being efficient. He said his agency has made major strides in the past 5 years, despite a gas tax that has remained unchanged for the past 3 decades. We have reformed and reformed and reformed, Wilson said. State Representative Jack McFarland, Republican Jonesboro, sponsor of the gas tax bill, said in a statement on Monday that action is needed to ensure the state has enough money to qualify for all its federal matching dollars. Dr. Wilson knows that legislative leadership has encouraged us to bring this bill because now is time to create return on investment for taxpayers and grow jobs and the economy, McFarland said. Ponte, chairman of the Louisiana Coalition to Fix Our Roads, said in a statement the timing of the proposal couldn't be better, and the plan is gaining bipartisan support and backing from community leaders. He said the legislation returns purchasing power to consumers and complements the innovations Dr. Wilson has ushered in at the department. Wilson was asked whether his comments meant he would not back McFarland's bill, Good question, he replied. He added later that he will always work with our stakeholders. Wilson says top officials of DOTD plan to meet with newspaper editorial boards around the state to point out progress in the past 5 years, including about $250 million in federal dollars redirected to Louisiana from other states. He said DOTD has been unfairly portrayed as a boogeyman in some public debates. Motorists pay 38.4 cents per gallon, including 20 cents in state charges. Louisiana's backlog of road and bridge needs is $14.8 billion. The 2021 regular legislative session begins April 12th. Okay, turning to our next story, Alton Sterling trial staying in East Baton Rouge Parish for now. Judge denies change of venue request by Blake Patterson, staff writer. The upcoming trial and the lawsuit filed on behalf of Alton Sterling's 5 children will remain in East Baton Rouge Parish for now. Monday, Judge William Morvant of the 19th Judicial District Court rejected a change of venue request filed by lawyers representing the city of Baton Rouge, who argued that the local jury pool had been poisoned by media coverage and recent protests over police brutality. Morvant said he'd entertain a request to allow the trial if during jury selection, it becomes clear that they are unable to find citizens who haven't already focused an opinion on the case. The test isn't going to be as, have you heard anything about this, Morvan said. I think if we go anywhere within the 4 corners of the state, it's going to be pretty hard to do. Parish Attorney Andy Dotson filed the motion shortly after the Advocate reported last year the city parish had offered a $2.5 million settlement to Sterling's 5 children who lost their father in a 2016 police shooting that ignited protests nationwide. Dawson argued that the disclosure incorrectly implied an admission of liability that could bias a jury against the defendants. He also alleged, without evidence, that the plaintiff's attorneys had leaked the information and asked Morvant to find them in contempt of court for violating a gag order that had placed on participants in the case. Chris Stewart, one of several attorneys representing Sterling's children, called Dotson's motion extreme and said it was inappropriate for him to point fingers at them without proof. He said the accusations were borderline defamation. Dotson asked that the trial, scheduled for March 1st, be moved to a parish with a similar ethnic mix for a jury pool that's outside of the advocate's primary area of circulation. He suggested Claiborne, Morehouse, St. James, St. John the Baptist, or census parishes. Michael Adams, another Sterling family attorney, said it doesn't make sense to move the case from East Baton Rouge Parish, the most populous parish in the state, to a rural setting, even if the racial makeup were similar. Dawson also cited the summer's Black Lives Matter protest as potentially damaging to the case and asked that the trial take place in a parish that didn't experience demonstrations against police misconduct, a request the plaintiff's attorneys called improper. Sterling, a 37-year-old black man, was shot and killed by a police officer in summer of 2016 during an altercation outside the Triple S Food Mart on North Foster Drive. The lawsuit, filed in 2017, alleges that the shooting exemplified long-standing problems of racist attitudes and excessive force among Baton Rouge police officers. Now going to our next public service announcement break. ARC needs your help to help the homeless. Everyone should have shelter, and Louisiana nights are getting colder. Due to COVID-19 and concerns for community spread, there has been a dramatic decrease in available shelter beds. That means many experiencing homelessness may have no other option than to sleep on the street. Throughout this pandemic, Acadiana Regional Coalition on Homelessness and Housing, or ARCH, has been able to utilize local hotel and motel rooms as a temporary housing solution. From there, case managers help our fellow Acadians transition to permanent housing. ARCH is very proud of their success in keeping those they serve safe from COVID-19 and on their way to long-term stability. However, the number of homeless is growing, and ARCH needs your help to get our neighbors out of the cold and into warm, safe housing. If you wish to help, you can go to ARC Acadiana, that's ARCH, Acadiana.org, Or if you prefer to give a donation by check, you can mail it to ARCH, ARCH, P.O. Box 3936, Lafayette, LA 70502. Okay, let's turn to a story about from the living section. This is a story coming out of the LSU Ag Center Garden News. Now is the time to plant a tree by Heather Kirk Ballard. Consider this Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. That is especially true in Louisiana. Planting during December, January, and February provides plants for several months to develop a strong root system before they put out a new flush of leaves and flowers in spring. Nurseries are bringing in woody trees and shrubs to plant now. Tropical plants will be available later in the warmer season when they are less likely damaged by colder temperatures. National Arbor Day Foundation has started the Time for Trees initiative to highlight how trees clean our air, protect our drinking water, create healthy communities, and feed the human soul. Founded by J. Sterling Morton in 1872 in Nebraska City, Nebraska, where an estimated 1 million trees were planted, Arbor Day is celebrated every year. When deciding what trees and shrubs to plant, consider the year-round interest of those plants. A great design will have beauty and interest in each season. That can include evergreen plants, flowering plants, and deciduous plants that have excellent fall foliage change. Some medium-sized evergreen trees are southern wax myrtle, camphor tree, and red bay. You can choose from several small evergreen trees with many different functions. Some have flowers and put on display in the late fall into early spring. Those include camellia trees and Camellia susquana. Compared to evergreen trees, there are many deciduous trees that can be planted in Louisiana. They include the fringe tree, flowering dogwood, Taiwan cherry, saucer magnolia, parsley haythorn, redbud, and silver bell. Planting trees is a great way to leave a lasting legacy for generations to enjoy. Trees can also be one of the keys to combating climate change by conserving energy, sequestering carbon, and reducing the overall concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So go plant a tree today. Sports. Cajuns look like potential contenders despite series split. This is an article entitled Time Out by Kevin Foote. He's a sports and staff writer for The Advocate. The Sun Belt Conference standings are what they are after this past weekend's series split with Little Rock and the Cajun Dome. In the East, Coastal Carolina and Appalachian State are off to 3-1 starts, while Little Rock is the only team in the West above 500 in the early going after surviving UL 78-76 in overtime on Saturday. But while Coach Barb Marlin's Raging Cajuns are intentionally in a four-way tie for second place in the Sun Belt West at 2-2, the eye test this weekend in the Cajun Dome told a different story. Sure, the Cajuns' overall record is a good one at 8-3, but few of those first 7 wins illustrated the long-term staying power the 2 games against Little Rock did. Yes, I definitely feel like we got better as a team, UL coach Barb Marlin said after Saturday's loss. We had a good week of practice and got better. Judging by Marlin's Zoom responses since day one, practice hasn't been the program, transferring that offensive potential to the court has been. Friday's game was indeed the Cajuns' best 40 minutes, and the first half of Saturday was the best half period so far this season. More players seem to be connecting the dots a little better against Little Rock. Leading the parade was 6'4" junior transfer Brian Awe, who plays his best stretch of ball since joining the Cajuns over the weekend. I had a lot of talks with Coach Awe said. He told me the reason he had brought me here is to make a change in the team. At the beginning, it was hard for me to come from a JUCO to Division I because I feel like everything is different in the way that it's played. I had a hard time adjusting and deciding when to take good shots, but a long talk with Coach gave me the confidence to do what I do best. After scoring 9 points with 4 rebounds and 4 assists in Friday's wins, Awe made 3 of his 4 attempts behind the arc Saturday to contribute 11 points, 5 boards, and 3 assists. After that day, I decided it was going to go up from there, Awe said. I was not going to go back. I was going to go forward. That was the goal, to improve every game. it was mentality. I felt like I wasn't really there. I was trying to facilitate for everybody else instead of trying to score for myself. Sometimes it's more selfish when I have open shots. Instead of shooting, I would just give it away to facilitate for others. Sometimes that's more selfish than just making the right play. Marlon never lost confidence in all his potential. He's a very good shooter, Marlon said. He's a career 40% shooter from three. We see it in practice all the time. The move from the 2 to 1, sometimes he plays the 2, but more than not, he plays the 1 for us because he does a good job of understanding. Most definitely, he said, I feel like we've improved so much since the last time we played. Every time we play harder and harder and harder. We play more comfortable with each other. We become closer and closer. That makes it when we're on the court, instead of just worried about winning, we're having fun while winning. Okay, and that's it for the news. I'm going to end today's broadcast with the funerals in the Acadiana area today. Brett Gaspard at the Vida Funeral Home at 11 a.m. and Ethel Lapointe, St. John's Evangelist, 515 Cathedral Street in Lafayette at 3 p.m. Well, this has been Local News Live for January 12th, 2021. I've been your reader, Bruce Cohen. As always, and you can join us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on AOC 1, our streaming radio station, Cypress Street Radio, that's CYPRESS Street Radio, or our YouTube channel, which is AOC Community Media. You can also read these stories and more at theadvocate.com. If you wish to become a volunteer reader for this wonderful service that we provide every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., you can go to our website, which is aocinc.org, aocinc.org. Pull down the volunteer tab, look up the newspaper reader volunteer form, fill it out, and Miss Mandy or Mr. Matt will be in touch with you, and we'll explain to you how we've been doing this from our home studios. That's exactly where I am right now, in my home studio, in my PJs, reading you the morning news. So please, as I always end each broadcast, this is Bruce Cohen, will always be Bruce Cohen. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay smart, folks. Be smart. This coronavirus pandemic is still very heavily among us. We're now getting vaccinations, but you heard this morning how that program is slowly rolling out. So please be careful out there. Just be smart. Just wear your mask. Do everything you need to do to stop the spread. And as I always say every morning, be kind to each other. Have a great day. We'll see you on the flip-flop.